camera inspection at 61 Holdman in Sierra Madre, and we're at the city main connection right now, out in the middle of the street. Sorry, the county main, and I'm going to pull back and we'll inspect the sewer back towards the house, back to the clean out that's next to the sprinkler valves, next to the trash cans on the side of the house, on the south side of the house. So we'll go ahead and pull back and we'll inspect the sewer. There's a slight separation on the top side of that saddle joint, but there's no roots in it right now. Go ahead and pull back. Pipe is clay pipe. Small intrusion right here. Nothing. These pieces of debris that's in the line, that fell in the line. Remove and clean out cap. This will wash through the sewer, not cause any issues. Flip the camera around. So there's a small intrusion. The pipe is pretty deep from there. Reflecting off there. Yeah, the light's reflecting off that clay. It's been a hole. Small intrusion at this point, and this looks like a 4x6 transition at the property line. That's a transition right there. So now we're coming back up into the house line, which is 4-inch clay, and there's a test Y at the end here. Small intrusion. Go ahead and clean out. Go ahead and stop right now and run some water.
It's no longer here.
Right? Did they
Plus,
take
I
out?
don't like the elms. They take over.
Did they take out the stump?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you'd be. I mean, I don't see it too much around here, but most of my work is in LA because I'm an approved sewer contractor in LA, so you know I kind of stay down in that area. And I remember one time in particular there was a sewer. It was about 8 feet deep. The tree was removed 15 years ago, and I dug down there, and there was still 3 of the main artery veins were still active, and they had
Really?
penetrated through the pipe like a big spear.
So how would you know that?
Well, I mean, because it was getting inspected,
Oh.
you know, they were
But
selling
that'd
the
be
house.
the only way, right? Like
Yeah.
as a homeowner.
Yeah, I
How
mean,
would
as a homeowner, I mean, usually what you'd be looking for.
But being it's a 1923 house,
Yeah.
I've never had it checked.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, and I mean, the good thing is if you haven't had any problems, usually that means that the line itself is in pretty good condition.
Okay.
I mean, like this one, you know, this is in good condition for its age, for being original piping. You know, you see, you know, a few minor flaws, but that's to be expected, and that's just typical with the type of pipe, soil compaction,
Yeah.
ground movement, you know, because we get a lot of swelling and contraction, you know, over the course of the year with the, you know, the change in the heat. You know, so it's not uncommon to see that. Plus, you know, with minor earthquakes and stuff like that, you will see a little bit of shifting. But yeah, this pipe's it's clean. There's no, you know, it's very small root intrusions, and the fact is that if they're at that point right now and they haven't, you know, they're not growing into the pipe, they're just around the joint, you know, so it means that they're kind of contained. It's mostly this, you know, this hedge right here because the pipe runs.
Whether they just have it routed every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, that, you know, that would be the best thing to do, because what you're trying to do, like normally, like we don't run any cable machines, you know, only hydrojet. But because right now there's no roots, like even though the small roots are there, if you hit them with a hydrojet, they're going to grow, and you're going to encourage them to grow, because it's like pruning a tree.
Right.
Because it's so precise and so accurate, and it has so much force, most of the time you make them mad, and they just explode into the
I
pipe.
know, I didn't know.
You know, the only thing that you should do is maybe, you know, a couple of times a year, or not a couple of times a year, sorry, you know, 2-3 years down the line, check it again. You know, just, you know, have somebody come by, run a camera through there, and then, you know, once you go past that period, if it's still good up to this point and there's nothing, it's not changed anyway, you won't even have to snake it. You just leave it. You know, because you don't want to encourage
Irritated.
that.
That's
and
a good point.
you know,
I didn't think about that.
like in snaking, it's not going to really bother it too much because the cable just passes through and it's kind of rotating. So I mean, if there's nothing there to hit, the cable's just going to pass all the way through. It's just going to kind of, you know, scrape along the pipe. I mean, the only thing, you know, with this one, there's a small portion of the pipe that's a little bit flat, so it has some, you know, standing water in it, and that again's common. You know, that's just, you know, the ground settled below it and the pipes dropped down. But yeah, this one, I mean, I wouldn't even say that it needs to be snaked. You know, it's actually pretty good to see a sewer in condition like this.
Yeah. They really maintain their house well. They always have.
Yeah.
Anytime they've got a problem, it gets fixed immediately. It all gets legally done.
Yeah. And
Permitted. I mean.
yeah, that's the best way. You got to make sure that, you know, that you're protected, you know, and the job's done right. Because there's nothing worse than having somebody come in and do it, some cowboy, and then you have to redo it again.
Yeah.
And you know, it's pretty funny, like using LA as an example, because there's only about 100 of us that are approved to do any type of sewer work in the city of LA, like in the public works. And so we, you know, get it all the time. You know, they have an inspector call me up, can you go by and check this one job out? Because they noticed it, because they're very active in maintaining the main city sewers. So they send a robotic camera down there, and if they see anything, you know, like a liner that's came in to the main, then they make the homeowner responsible for all repairs. Now, if it wasn't permitted, it has to be removed.
Oh my gosh.
And it has to be removed from start to finish, and the homeowner's responsible for all costs.
Wow.
You know, so because they're trying to eliminate, you know, poor workmanship,
Yeah.
and everybody has to be approved.
That's good.
You know, and that's the way that it should be.
Yeah.
So anytime you do like a major repair, like if it was a sewer, you always make sure that you get all your permits, have it approved, because it covers everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and if the city are satisfied with it, and then you have a paper trail of any repairs that are made.
Yeah,
You know, and it
that's
just
true.
goes to show that you've done the job, you know, properly, and everything's good.
Yeah.
So I'll